I have a sneaking suspicion that this video is going to break me. Hey guys, did you miss me? I haven't posted in, I want to say, a year and a half. But it's okay because I'm here now. I haven't had any good ideas for videos recently, and I've asked people for video ideas, but I thought, no, that's too much effort. That video is gonna take too long. And then the video idea that I got is gonna take longer than all of those combined. But you know what? It's fine. So, warrior cats. People hear the phrase warrior cats, and that phrase, it's gonna either provoke flashbacks to elementary school, or there's no effect on you, or you're like, oh my god, I can't believe you would just say that to me. Why would you bring up warrior cats to me? It's disgusting. So, yeah, warrior cats. I never read warrior cats as a kid. I read the first book as a kid. So I actually just lied to you. I did read Warrior Cats as a kid, but I only read the first book, and I wasn't, like, a fan. But yesterday I was just kind of hit with inspiration. I went to a used bookstore, and they had 2 full shelves of Warrior Cats books, and I was like, wow, are there really that many? And I looked it up, and yes, there are that many. There are 66 Warrior Cats books. And I decided, you know what? What if I made a video where I read Warrior Cats for the first time in 2023? How fun would that be? With the help of the Warrior Cats website, I was able to put together a bit of a reading order, which consists of the entire first arc, a graphic novel, 3 supers, the first book of the second arc, a super, a graphic novel, a super, the second book of the second arc, a graphic novel, the third book of the second arc, a graphic novel, a super, the fourth book of the second arc, a graphic novel, a super, finishing the second arc, a field guide, first 2 books of the third arc, a field guide. You get the idea. There's a lot, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. I was gonna go for publication order, but I thought, that's gonna be even more esoteric. Is that a word? That's just gonna be too much. That's gonna be even more random. So I figured I'd go for a little bit of a timeline order, but with the help of the Warriors website, I figured out what books would spoil what, and I put them in the correct order of when I can read things without getting spoiled. So yeah, this video is gonna be the first arc and all my thoughts on it. Nothing filtered, nothing censored. I don't care how many Warrior Cats fans I make angry because that's funny. I also remember nothing from the first book except for, like, Fire. I want to say Fireheart ended up being his name, but I know he started as Rusty, and I remember Graystripe, and I remember Bluestar, and Tigerclaw, but that's where it stops. So yeah, I'll let you know all my thoughts, give you my reviews. Just the experience of reading Warrior Cats for the first time, and I would love for this to be multiple parts where I go through each arc and all the supers and all the graphic novels and all the novellas, because why not? Maybe I'll just become a Warrior Cats YouTuber. Maybe I'll actually really like this, and I'll make it my whole personality, and eventually I will become Aaron Hunter. Anyways, I'm going to start reading the first book and check in periodically, and then I'll give you a full section of my review of the book. I ask you to please forgive the lighting, it's quite late. So, progress update. I am on page 104 of Into the Wild, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually really like it. I'm exposing myself, but this book is actually really good. Okay, it's not really good, but it's good, and it's entertaining, and can I speak, actually? It's entertaining, and I'm having a lot of fun reading it. So far, Rusty, who is now Firepaw, he ran away from home, joined ThunderClan, all in, like, the first 30 pages. It was kind of wild. Got into a couple fights, met his new best friend, Graypaw, and Yellowfang just showed up. She's a old medicine cat from Shadow Clan. You know, angsty clan. I should also probably say that this whole video is going to have very heavy spoilers, but Yellowfang showed up, and I kind of am living for the dynamic between Yellowfang and Firepaw. In the span of 2 pages, he called her a pitiful clump of fur and teeth and a spiteful old bone bag. It's kind of creative, and I do love a creative insult. And there was a conversation that Tigerclaw and Spotted Leaf had near the beginning of the book that made me kind of ship them a little bit, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't like Tigerclaw, but that conversation between him and Spotted Leaf, they had a little bit of chemistry, I'm not gonna lie. But I will say, so far, I'm just kind of confused about why Firepaw would want to live like this. They have this conversation multiple times throughout the book, and it's like, you have the coziest life ever with the 2 legs, which as a kid I used to think was pronounced Twoleg, and I didn't know that it was referring to humans. I thought it was some made-up creature, but we're not going to talk about that. But I don't understand why the cats would want to leave that cozy life when they're literally fighting for their lives and almost starving to death in the wild right now. Also, the scent thing is really confusing. Like, he's able to smell very specific things. There was a scene where he smelled a cat coming and he was like, oh, I can smell that cat's a boy. I can smell that he ate mouse this morning. I don't know. It's really weird and kind of uncomfortable. And especially when Blue Star said to Firepaw, I can smell that you're still a Tom, because they were talking about the vet. That was very uncomfortable. Also, them just randomly peeing on everything. I get that they're cats, I get that, and they're marking territory, but it's kind of weird. I'm having fun, and I am excited to read more. So I think the next time you see me, I will have finished the book. Okay. So, I finished Into the Wild about 5 minutes ago. And I'm completely gonna tell the truth to you guys, I loved it. I don't know what else to say, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed this book. So I'm gonna start with a quick plot summary of everything that happened since I last updated you guys, and then I will get into my thoughts about certain aspects. I last left off when Yellow Fang showed up, and since then we found out that Shadow Clan wants to get hunting rights in the other clan's territories, and they've already driven one clan out of their territory. And we kind of learned that Broken Star, the leader, killed his dad to become the leader, and has been like training kids way too young and literally just killing them, which is actually so dumb. I hate him so much. Oh my god. But I can't wait to read more of him because he's such an interesting character. After that, Greypaw, Firepaw, and Ravenpaw kind of got an assessment, and Firepaw saw Smudge again, which is a cute little reunion. Hi, this is Editing Ava, just now realizing that I never told you who Smudge actually is. He is Firepaw's bestie from when he lived with the humans. Okay, back to the video. Afterwards, our main trio and Tigerclaw went with Blue Star to see the Moonstone because she needed to get visions from StarClan. I actually don't remember what happened at all. She was getting visions from StarClan, and then they went back and they found out that their camp was being attacked by ShadowClan, but they fought him off, but Lionheart, who's the deputy, died. And we find out that Tigerclaw, he has a vendetta against Ravenpaw, and that's because Ravenpaw knows that Tigerclaw killed Redtail. Hi, it's me again. Redtail was the ThunderClan deputy before Lionheart. I don't know why I'm so bad at explaining right now. And I think that Tigerclaw killed Lionheart. I really think he did, because I think Tigerclaw wants to be leader, but he had to kill Redtail. He thought he would become deputy. He didn't become deputy. He killed Lionheart, then he became deputy. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to kill Blue Star. The whole ending of the book is that everyone thinks Yellow Fang stole some kits and gave them to ShadowClan, but that's not what happened. We find out that Yellow Fang's chill, we love her, and then everyone kind of returns to camp. I actually just lied to you. Greypaw and Firepaw go with Ravenpaw to have him live with a rogue, I think they're called, named Smudge, who they met earlier, because they want everyone to believe that Ravenpaw is dead, so Ravenpaw's not in danger from Tigerclaw, which I was so upset about because I loved Ravenpaw. He was literally my favorite character. But now I think Yellowfang's my favorite character. She became the medicine cat. We got the kits back and everything's chill, and Firepaw and Greypaw became warriors, and they are now Fireheart and Greystripe. So that's our basic plot summary, and if that sounded chaotic, it's because this is the most chaotic book you will ever read. I can't imagine what the next 5 are going to be like. It's really all over the place, and it's so fast-paced, I don't even remember everything that happened, and it's only 270 pages. So as for my thoughts, I really enjoyed it, as you know. I think that Tigerclaw is a very, very interesting villain. He reminds me a lot of Scar from The Lion King, but his just straight-up manipulation of Ravenpaw was so infuriating, and I literally felt Ravenpaw's fear through the page. It made me so sad. I felt so bad for Ravenpaw. Also, Spotted Leaf died. Did I mention that? No, I did not. Spotted Leaf died. She was the medicine cat, and she died. People talk about Spotted Leaf so much, I thought she was going to be way more important, but she died. So I guess we'll find out more on that. I was so shocked when she died. You have no idea. Because she could have been really useful in the story. I understand they wanted to make Yellowfang medicine cat, which I'm happy about because I adore Yellowfang. When she had her moment when the camp was being raided and she was protecting the kits, I literally was so excited. I was like, yes, you go, because she slays. Literally, she kills other cats. A moment that I thought was a little bit dumb was after Firepaw saw Smudge again, and Bluestar was like really mad at him for no reason. She says, "I need to be able to trust your loyalty to ThunderClan, especially now that it looks like ShadowClan is planning an attack. We don't have room for anyone who isn't sure whether their heart lies in the past or the present." All he did was talk to a childhood friend. It's not like he's going and visiting his old owners. He's literally just talking to his old best friend. And I don't really have any other thoughts other than that I liked it. And especially for a book that's like intended for kids, I thought it was pretty well written. And the pacing, I will admit, the pacing was extreme, but I don't mind extreme pacing that much. Although I could have used like 1 or 2 filler chapters of just like them hunting or whatever, which I guess we did have, now that I think about it. So the pacing was pretty good, and the characters are decent, but I think there's too many characters. And I know that that's going to get worse as the books go on. There's just going to be more and more and more, and we're never going to be able to keep track. But I think that the amount of characters in this book was a pretty healthy amount. That's about all of my thoughts on Into the Wild. I am going to be starting Fire and Ice tomorrow. I'm actually really excited. I can't wait to see what happens. I will tell you guys right now, this is not at all what I was expecting to happen. I thought I was going to be clowning on the books. But here we are. That's all. I'd give the book like a 4 stars, I guess. Hey guys, so I just finished Fire and Ice, and now I'm going to talk about it. Why did I say it like that? Since filming the Into the Wild portion, I've become a lot more organized, and now I have an actual plot description that I'm going to read from to tell you guys what happened, because my unscripted summary of Into the Wild, I'm so sorry you guys had to watch that. So I'm going to go through the plot description and then go over my thoughts. As we know, WindClan was driven out of their camp by ShadowClan, and the whole beginning portion of the book, I'm going to be reading from this, so like, my eyes will not be on you, I'm sorry. Graystripe and Fireheart go on a mission to bring WindClan home, which is successful, but on their way back, they try to take a shortcut through RiverClan territory, and a patrol of warriors finds them, and it results in a battle where RiverClan Cat dies. So now RiverClan is like, y'all suck, I'm declaring war on you. They don't actually declare war, but they're very close to it. Both Graystripe and Fireheart get apprentices for them to train, and I love them very much. Cinderpaw, who's Fireheart's apprentice, love her so much. Maybe new favorite character. She's awesome. They take their apprentices out hunting. Graystripe falls into a river because he's an idiot. A RiverClan cat named Silverstream comes to rescue him. And then we find out that Graystripe and Silverstream are having an affair. And they actually use the word affair, which I was really surprised about because this is in fact a kid's book. So yeah, they're in love. Fireheart is so mad. And then Cinderpaw gets hit by a car. They don't really elaborate on it much. She just gets hit by a car and now she'll never be a warrior. She ends up becoming the Medicine Cat apprentice. Fireheart starts visiting his sister, Princess, who is a kitty pet, and that made me really mad, but we'll get into that later. Eventually, Princess gives Fireheart one of her kits to take back to camp, and they surprisingly take him in. His name is Cloudkit. He's very cute, and also really, really, really annoying. There's a new kid in the camp. And somewhere along the road, Bluestar loses a life to Greencough. What is Greencough? I don't know. Then a bunch of rogue old ShadowClan cats, like the ones that got driven out because they were being tyrannical, come and attack ThunderClan. Thankfully, they're all warded off. And Yellowfang quite literally blinds the old ShadowClan leader, and we find out that she's his mom. My honest reaction, because what? After that battle, WindClan gets attacked by RiverClan and ShadowClan, and nothing really happens, but I guess those clans suck now, apparently, even though RiverClan is my favorite clan. They're so cool. And then the book ends. The whole main conflict of the book is that Fireheart and Graystripe are mad at each other because Fireheart doesn't want Graystripe to be having this affair because it's against the warrior code. But they make up at the end. So now into my thoughts. Not really in any specific order, I just kind of wrote them down as I was reading. First of all, some of these cats have really weird names that would make me really mad if I was a cat. For example, the RiverClan leader is named Crooked Star, and he was born with a crooked jaw. And some of the elders' names are even worse, like Halftail, One Eye. Deadfoot is the name of one of the cats. One of the cats has like a permanently broken foot or something, and his name is Deadfoot. I would be so mad, okay? I have been living my whole life as a cat to become a warrior, and I get an injury, and you guys change my name, so I'm named after my injury? That is, like, criminal. Second, I wanted to highlight the chapter art, because I think it's really silly. Especially this chapter heading. What? It's a little bit odd, I gotta say. Also, how many cats are in this forest, and how has no one found them? None of this is geographically possible. There's no way you would have like a river area, an uplands area, and a forest area. This is not possible. Like, are these cats in the... Hey Siri, what's the largest national forest?
Here's an answer from Audubon.org. The Tongass National Forest in southeast Alaska is our nation's largest national forest, nearly 17 million acres in size.
Are these cats in the Tongass National Forest? That's what I want to know. I also felt like these books in general have way too much death in them. I think like 5 different cats with names died in this book, which wouldn't normally be a problem except for the fact that this is a kid's series. Just wanted to throw that out there. It seems like it's for shock after a while. I also feel like in the beginning, Graystripe and Fireheart are not experienced enough to be warriors. While they're out training their apprentices, they decide to go into RiverClan territory? What is wrong with them? Why would they do that? Also, the thing that made me the most mad about this book was Fireheart being such a hypocrite. He was so mad at Graystripe, he literally stopped talking to his best friend because he was seeing this RiverClan cat and he was breaking the warrior code. But at the exact same time, Fireheart was going out every day and seeing his sister, who lives with the humans. I'm not going to say 2 legs. Which is also breaking the warrior code. He needs to get it together, shape up. If he's gonna break the warrior code, don't be mad about someone else breaking the warrior code. The whole kitty pet thing is really weird to me. It's like, I didn't think these books were gonna have cat classism. What? Everyone was so mad about Fireheart bringing the new Kit into the camp because they kept saying that he had kitty pet blood. It's like the Muggleborns in Harry Potter. That's what it reminds me of. I also feel like this book needs to slow down a little bit. Like, the whole WindClan coming home thing didn't even feel like it happened in the same book because of how much stuff happened after that. I've never really told a book to slow down before, but this one needs to. Near the end of the book, when the old ShadowClan leader, Brokenstar, now known as Broken Tail because he broke his tail, again, weird names, after he attacks with his rogues, they decide to keep him in the camp because Yellowfang was like, oh, if we leave him out in the forest, he'll die. And if we do that, we're just as bad as him? It's so dangerous to leave a murderer in the camp where there's children. Side-eye blank stare. It's giving Aunt May in No Way Home. He's not gonna be redeemed. You cannot fix him. Don't keep him there. Give him to another clan or something. You're not gonna be as bad as him. I also wrote down another point about Tigerclaw's villainy kind of taking a backseat during this book. But I mean, I kind of get it. And they did showcase it at the end, which is nice because it shows that they're not going to forget about stuff. At least yet. I've heard things about the later books, but we'll get there when we get there. That's Fire and Ice. I enjoyed it. I can't believe I actually like these books. I already own the whole first arc because I'm not going to chicken out on this video. Come on now. But I also got 3 of the super editions today. I got Crooked Star's Promise, weird name, Yellowfang's Secret, and Blue Star's Prophecy. I can't believe this is happening to me. Anyway, another 4-star because it's a Warriors book. I don't think any of these are going to be 5-star. I don't want to give one a 5-star, quite frankly. That's all. I'm gonna start Forest of Secrets tomorrow. I've just kind of come to the conclusion that these parts are no longer going to have good lighting, and I'm sorry. So I finished Forest of Secrets. It was a book. It was a book that happened, and I read it, and it was written. For sure. Before I get into the plot description, I want to say that this was definitely a filler book. You could tell that this was kind of bridging the gap between the first part of the series and the next part of the series, because, like, 2 things happened, which is fine. Like, I asked for it to slow down, and it certainly did. I think it was nice to have a book where we got more backstory about some of the characters, but it was very obvious that it was a filler. So, into the plot. Coming off of the end of the last book, we have Fireheart looking for the truth about how Redtail died, about how Tigerclaw killed him and stuff. He talks to people in RiverClan, which you're not supposed to do, so he gets in big trouble for that. We also find out that Blue Star, the leader of ThunderClan, had kits, but she gave them up because she actually had an affair with the RiverClan deputy. She was... Okay, I'm gonna get heated, but we'll get into that when I give my opinions. But yeah, we found out that she has kits who are actually in RiverClan right now. Mistyfoot and Stonefur, they're her kits, but they don't know that she's their mom. And it's not really important information, but I was shook. For, like, the whole middle section of the book, Fireheart is just kind of helping train Graystripe's apprentice, because Graystripe is not training his apprentice anymore because he's seeing his girlfriend. Now Fireheart is also having to like look after his nephew Cloudkit, who's so annoying. Oh my god. Later on, Fireheart and Graystripe rescue a couple of RiverClan kits from the river and they almost drown. It's very dramatic. I love the drama. They find out that RiverClan is like starving because there's been floods, so they offer to help hunt for RiverClan, which obviously you're not supposed to do, so they get in trouble for that as well. ShadowClan and WindClan find out that ThunderClan is sheltering Broken Tail, and they get really mad and attack the camp and try to kill Broken Tail, which, you know what? I support them for that. I'd be mad too. But, you know, unsuccessful, obviously. Then we find out that Silverstream is pregnant, which was so upsetting. What are you doing? Girl, what are you doing? I already had my thoughts about Silverstream and Graystripe. I think they're idiots. And now they're all excited about this pregnancy, as if that's gonna bridge the gap between their two clans and unbreak the warrior code or something. So, anyway, she gives birth, and, she dies. But the two kits survive, and RiverClan is like, gimme them, because their mom was part of our clan, so I guess the kits are supposed to go to whichever clan the mom was in. But I feel like the kits should be staying with the parent that's alive, you know? If the mom survives, yeah, they should go with the mom, but if the mom dies, they should be staying with the living parent. Cloudkit becomes an apprentice. Tigerclaw leads a bunch of rogue cats into the camp, tries to kill Blue Star. We find out he's been, like, allies with Broken Tail this whole time, and he gets exiled. He's no longer the deputy. And then Yellowfang kills Broken Tail, which was a girl boss moment. Blue Star is messed up, by the way. She's so distraught. And then she decides to make Fireheart the deputy, which I have so many thoughts on, but I'll get into that in a second. And then at the very end of the book, on the last couple pages, hello? Am I a cat? Graystripe decides to give up his kits to RiverClan. And I was reading this, but it's fine, whatever. We'll hear about them like once per book. And then Graystripe leaves ThunderClan? Graystripe leaves ThunderClan and joins RiverClan? I literally got a headache reading that. It was not led up to at all, and then at the last page of the book, Fireheart had already decided that he'd moved on. Page 310, Graystripe leaves. Page 312, Fireheart's like, okay, I'm fine. Never gonna see my best friend again, lol. Living life. Hashtag live, laugh, love. Hashtag who rescued who, I don't know. That's how the book ends. Now into my too many thoughts, because, I don't know, I'm opinionated. I think Fireheart and Sandstorm are gonna get together. There's like hints, I feel like they have crushes on each other, and I would support them. I think they'd be cute together. I will say that this book was very immersive. Reading the scenes between Tigerclaw and Fireheart, I was stressed for him. I knew he was gonna live, but I was like, wow, Tigerclaw's kind of scary. Still very Scar-like, especially now that he's being exiled. And this book also had, like, surprisingly not well-written, well, kind of, well-written for a children's book, themes about loyalty when it came to Graystripe and his struggle with being, you know, in love with Silverstream, but also wanting to be loyal to ThunderClan, which completely fell apart in the end and was all retconned. Blue Star's kind of dumb. She would not believe anything Fireheart said about Tigerclaw, despite him having proof. Oh yeah, your best friend literally murdered someone? Oh, I don't believe you, actually. You actually made that up. Like, that's the energy she's giving. I feel like she's trying to gaslight Fireheart. For the first 75% of the book, I absolutely despised Cloudkit. He got better towards the end, but in the beginning he was so annoying. He almost got himself killed, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with you anymore. I gotta say, Fireheart is so much stronger than I am. If I was in his situation, and I knew all this stuff about Tigerclaw, and Tigerclaw kept insulting me, I would be going off on him. Tigerclaw would make a joke about, like, being a kitty pet or something, and if I was in that position, I would have literally just read out his list of crimes to his face. Another thing about this book, the scenes when it came to the river were very odd. This is a river in spring, and according to this book, the current is so strong that it'll sweep you away and drown you. It's like this deep. It made no sense. It was really weird to read. I couldn't picture anything. When it came to the alliance between WindClan and ShadowClan, about them being upset over Broken Tail, I definitely agree with them, because, you know, if I was driven out by someone and almost killed by someone, I wouldn't want someone else sheltering them. But attacking their camp is not going to make them agree with you. But you know, these cats, their only solution to things is to fight. They don't know how to talk things out. They all need to go to therapy. I personally felt like Silverstream's death was completely unnecessary. We didn't even know her that well. We knew her for a book and a half. I guess they killed her off so they could have Greystripe joining RiverClan, but I don't see how that's going to move the story forward, and I don't see how that's going to benefit anything. It might develop Fireheart a little bit, but based on the fact that he had already resolved all his emotions in one page, I don't know how much that's going to do. It just seems like there's too much death at this point, especially with Broken Tail dying. Which, you know, girl boss moment from Yellowfang. She fed him death berries. And I love her for that. I was screaming. My last thought is that Fireheart should not be deputy. He is quite literally the third youngest warrior in the clan. I'm pretty sure Sandstorm's a little bit older. And Dustpelt, I don't like Darkstripe or Longtail or Dustpelt. Well, Dustpelt's not a contender. I don't like them, but they still would have made better deputies than Fireheart because, you know, they're more skilled. Fireheart hasn't even been a warrior for a year yet. Whitestorm, Running Wind, Mousefur, they all could have been deputy. They would have done so much better than Fireheart, and it just feels like a case of main character syndrome. To me, it seems like we're making Fireheart deputy because he's the main character. It would have made a lot more sense to have a longer build-up, and maybe have Fireheart become deputy at, like, the end of the 5th book, and then at the end of the last book or something, Bluestar is gonna die, maybe, I think, and then he could become leader. I don't think he needed to become deputy this early. He could still have become leader later on, while becoming deputy later on as well, because I think you need a lot more experience to become the deputy than what Fireheart has. I don't know if anything that I'm saying is making sense, but that's how I feel. I think Fireheart should have become deputy like 2 books from now, because that doesn't mean you can't become leader. You can become deputy and then your leader dies a week later. That is going to make you leader, I think. Pretty sure it's like a ranking system, you know, leader dies, deputy is a shoo-in, and then deputy chooses the new deputy. Yeah, Fireheart should not be deputy yet. He's not smart enough. He's a shoo-in because he's the main character. That's kind of all of my thoughts on, literally, what is the book called? Forest of Secrets, this bad boy. And I'm going to start Rising Storm when I feel like it, because I still feel like this is a very jumbled mess. Quite frankly, I no longer know why I'm putting myself through this. Guess who finished another cat book? 4 books down. 60 more to go at least. This book was pretty alright. Actually, it was probably one of the best. It was one of the. I can't talk. Actually, this book was probably one of the better ones so far. I think there was just the right amount of drama in it. So for the plot, now that Fireheart is deputy, he's kind of settling into his role, but the clan is absolutely in shambles because of Tigerclaw's betrayal. And Bluestar literally gets depression. Which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting there to be, like, actual problems in these books, other than just, like, forbidden romance and cat drama. But no, she actually, like, gets depressed and won't leave her den. She has Fireheart do all her duties for her. It's kind of crazy. And then she tries to go. You have to give the other clans safe passage to the Moonstone. So she's, like, freaking out and is very paranoid that everyone's gonna betray her, especially when everyone starts smelling Shadow Clan scents in the territory. But turns out it's just these 2 Shadow Clan warriors who are very, 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 very sick and about to die. And because, like, the whole Shadow Clan camp is super sick. And Cinderpelt, who's now Cinderpelt, I don't know if she was Cinderpelt in the last book, she is now secretly helping them. Which, you know what? Good for her. Another one of Fireheart's big struggles is his nephew, Cloudpaw, previously Cloudkit, you know, the worst character. Because he's literally been sneaking off to get food from Two Legs. Never seen such an idiot of a cat before. And then he literally gets stolen by the Two Legs and taken to a different house. Like, the humans just straight up take him, which I don't know what he was expecting, because that's what humans do. I'd do that. Despite all that, Ravenpaw finds him and then comes back to the forest to tell Fireheart about it, because he, like, had the scent of ThunderClan on him. So Cloudpaw comes back, which just kind of made the whole point of that plot stupid. Like, it would have made more sense if they had resolved it in the next book, maybe, but even then, if you're gonna have something happen, actually commit to it, don't solve it 50 pages later. And now we find out that Tigerclaw is leading a whole band of rogues, because he got exiled, so now he's leading a band of rogues, and he attacks a ThunderClan patrol and kills Running Wind. Who's Running Wind? Wish I knew. And then the forest catches on fire. Yeah, the forest catches on fire. ThunderClan has to run away because it's only their territory that catches on fire because they're the main characters and no one is safe. Yellowfang dies in the fire, which I was really upset about because she was the best character, hands down. And I just... What was the point? We didn't even get to see her development. I mean, I get that she was old, but please. And then the very last chapter of the book consists of Fireheart having to lead his clan at a gathering because Bluestar can't even come. Because after Yellowfang's death, she literally has a mental breakdown and won't leave her den. And she won't even go to the gathering because she thinks that StarClan has completely abandoned their clan. She won't talk to StarClan anymore. She says she's never going to visit the Moonstone again. Which honestly, I actually really understand why she would think that. If my deputy betrayed me and my medicine cat died and my whole camp caught on fire, I'd be pretty mad at the dead cats too. At the end of the book, Fireheart goes to the gathering in place of Bluestar, and we find out that the leader of ShadowClan died due to the sickness, and the new ShadowClan leader is Tigerclaw. Wow. Now into my thoughts. I thought there was a very nice progression of Fireheart becoming deputy, despite what I said about Forest of Secrets, that he was becoming deputy so soon, but I think it actually showed that he was learning in his experience. It actually showed him struggling with stepping into the role, so I think it actually helped develop him quite a bit in the long run. Once again, I did not expect Bluestar to develop depression like that. Just since it's a kid's series, I didn't expect them to do anything serious, but no, she's actually having real mental health issues, and I hope she gets better. So there's a tradition in the Warrior Code where if a deputy dies or something else happens to them, then the next deputy has to be named before Moonhigh. Moonhigh is in middle of the night, I guess. Fireheart was named deputy after Moonhigh, but for some reason everyone had a crisis over that because it was a broken tradition. But it seems like not that important of a tradition. I don't see the big deal, and people, they're cats, but other cats, mostly the elders because they're all bitter, the elders think that the reason the forest caught on fire and the reason all this bad stuff is happening is because Fireheart was named deputy after Moonhigh. I think there could have been something else that broke the code that would have made a lot more sense than just having a deputy be chosen like a couple hours after he was supposed to be chosen. I still hate Cloudpaw, by the way. Him going and getting food from the humans was like such a shock. Like, he's not helping the kitty pet stereotypes at all. And then he faces the consequences of his own actions and is so upset about it. What did you think was gonna happen? There are also a lot of moments where Fireheart is talking about his new crush on Sandstorm, and he's like, oh, it doesn't matter that she's not Spotted Leaf. But he knew Spotted Leaf for like a month. They weren't in love. He barely even had a crush on her, so I don't know why he's acting like she was his true love, and now he's getting over his true love to be in love with Sandstorm. Another weird thing that happened was Fireheart having beef with a child because he looked like Tigerclaw. Something weird about this book is that none of the main characters are safe. Like, they could all die at any given moment, and I've never seen anything like that before. They get no breaks, they're just constantly going through it. Something about this series that I haven't pointed out yet is that throughout the books, there'll just be random moments where it's like a whole paragraph reminding you of what happened in the last books, and it takes you out of the story so much. There was this paragraph on page 281 from when Yellowfang was dying, and it just says, Fireheart flinched as the old medicine cat revealed her terrible secret, that ShadowClan's brutal leader had been her son, given up at birth because medicine cats were not allowed to have children. Who knew what agonies Yellowfang had endured as she watched her son kill his own father to become leader, and then destroy her clan with his bloodthirsty ambition. As if we didn't already know that happened. I get that it's, like, kids' books, and sometimes kids need to be reminded of what happened, but it's just, like, so funny, because it's a reminder that these are kids' books, and I think it's also maybe a way for the multiple authors to be like, oh yeah, that happened. I didn't write it, but it happened. Last thing I want to bring up in this section is my biggest problem with the series so far, and that is the lack of real character development from characters other than the main character. Cinderpelt had a moment after Silverstream died where she was really upset and she didn't feel like she was stepping into her role as an apprentice very well because she couldn't save Silverstream. And I was like, oh, we might get some interesting development from her, see how she recovers from this and steps into her role properly. But we didn't. She was sad, And then the next chapter, she was happy again. And Fireheart was like, oh, I'm so glad that she's back to her normal self. But we don't know when she became her normal self again. I just think that overall, we don't get enough chances to learn about the side characters. So then when they get killed off, we don't care. And at this point, it just is for shock. I can't think of another reason why. Because it's not like the characters know anything about them either. And even if they did, we're not going to see them grieve. It just needs to be worked on, I think. That's all for Rising Storm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to finish, honestly. I want to see the tea. I want to see what happens. Can't believe I'm going to read all of these. Oh my god. I am so exhausted. So, cat book. I just finished A Dangerous Path like 2 minutes ago. Not even kidding. And you know what? Wasn't actually half bad, but I have a lot of things to say about it. So, plot summary. So, at the end of the last book, we found out that Tiger Star is the new leader of Shadow Clan, which would never happen. Everyone's like freaking out, but we're also still freaking out because there was just a fire in the forest and everyone's home is destroyed. Well, not everyone, just the main characters, because that's like very convenient for struggling. So Cinderpelt gets a vision from Star Clan about the words pack, pack, and kill, kill. And for some reason, everyone who knows about that is way too ignorant to figure out what that means. It's dogs, by the way. Bluestar is extremely paranoid, like so much worse than in the last book. She's convinced that everyone in the clan is a traitor, including Fireheart, including the Kits. And she refuses to make any of the apprentices warriors because she thinks they're just going to betray her. I wrote down in my notes, if Bluestar randomly gets better or dies, I will be so mad, just for the record. Proof. So, yeah. I am mad. Because where was the arc? Anyway, we'll get to that. Fireheart basically becomes leader anyway, because she's not doing anything. She just sits in her den all day. Patrols keep finding, like, prey around the camp that they didn't hunt. It's just like a dead rabbit in the middle of the woods. And Bluestar, despite everyone having evidence that the dogs did it, because it smells like dog, she's completely convinced that it's WindClan's fault, and she literally tries to start a war with WindClan with no reason to. And Fireheart goes behind her back to talk to the WindClan leader, so they can talk out their feelings and have a therapy session to prevent the battle. Which does work. There's no battle that happens, but Bluestar and a couple other clan members are really upset at him for going behind their back. Which I guess I understand, but it was for the greater good. So we find out at the next gathering that Leopard Star is the new leader of RiverClan because Crooked Star died. And she's like, we're gonna take back Sunning Rocks, which is... Sunning Rocks is just this whole incredibly convoluted, ongoing thing in the books that RiverClan and ThunderClan are just constantly fighting over. Even though it's like 2 square feet of territory, I don't know why you can't just share it. There's not going to be any prey there. But either way, they're going to start a battle. And they do, in fact, have a battle. As Mistyfoot and Stonefur are about to kill Bluestar, Fireheart is like, hey, stop, she's your mom. But they don't believe him. In the same battle, Graystripe saves Fireheart from getting killed. So obviously Leopard Star is furious with Graystripe for that. In the end, Graystripe goes back to ThunderClan. Yippee. But at the same time, why? I thought that Graystripe going into RiverClan was going to make this whole huge new character arc for Fireheart where he was going to have to learn to be on his own without his best friend. And then no, we don't need any of that. At some point, Cloudpaw becomes Cloudtail and is now a warrior, but he's the only apprentice who becomes a warrior. So Swiftpaw and Brightpaw, 2 apprentices, go out and they're like, we're going to find the dogs and kill them, which is a horrible idea. Swiftpaw dies, Brightpaw gets horrifically attacked and loses half of her face. Tigerclaw's kids become apprentices, and then Longtail finds out that Tigerclaw has been training some dogs to go attack ThunderClan and kill all of them. Pardon? Fireheart stops the plan, but in the end, Bluestar dies. With no complete character arc, she literally, spiraled into, she literally had a psychotic break and then just died. Hello? So now into my thoughts, which I think I have the most thoughts on this book than the other ones. First thought, the prologue of this book is from the dog's perspective, which is so odd. The whole book makes it very clear that the authors of Warrior Cats do not like dogs at all. At least the girl who wrote this book does not like dogs. Because they talk like cavemen, and she makes them, the least intelligent creatures on the planet. Which, I mean, sure, dogs aren't that smart. But did you not write a whole other series where the dogs are just as smart as the cats? Let that sink in. Maybe they're 2 different universes and I get that, but you can so tell that she hates dogs. Another thing I didn't understand is why nobody tried to talk to Bluestar. Even White Storm, who was like her best friend, and honestly probably they were a little bit in love, he never tried to talk to her. He just sat with her for hours on end. They didn't say a word, which I understand when you have someone that's going through a hard time, they don't always want to be talked to. But she definitely needed to be talked to. Something that happens a lot throughout the series is people talking about, well, they're not people. The cats talking about how ThunderClan needs more warriors because we're not strong enough. We're, like, really going through it. We need more warriors. But they have so many warriors. They have, like, 12. If you look at the alliances list, this is about half the ThunderClan cats, and this is more than all of RiverClan. How many more warriors do you need? Are you trying to take over the whole forest? In this book, Bluestar was saying that she was abandoning StarClan because they had abandoned her and they were targeting ThunderClan, and honestly, I kind of believed her. You're setting only our camp on fire. Dogs are only after us. Tigerstar is only after us. Are you sure we're not actually being targeted? Everyone's dying. A kit just got randomly stolen out of the sky by a hawk, and we never heard about it again. Why did that even happen? It feels like you're having things happen just to happen. Here's something I wrote down. Why isn't there something in the Warrior Code for when a leader loses their marbles? I think the deputy should be able to step in if the leader says, every single cat in the clan is a traitor, so that means we can't make any of the apprentices warriors. Why is there nothing that the deputy can do to stop that? So, Brightpaw and Swiftpaw go to stop the dogs, right? They're not smart. It's okay. Swiftpaw dies. Brightpaw gets her face eaten off. And Bluestar, in a fit of rage for StarClan, changes her name to Lost Face. Bombastic side eye is what I'm giving you. That is horrific. Why would you do that? I would be so mad. I would actually betray my clan, honestly. Fireheart and Sandstorm had a little bit of a lover's quarrel in this book, but like before they said they loved each other, which they did say they loved each other, but the scene wasn't that good because it was literally 3 paragraphs. So Fireheart didn't give Sandstorm an apprentice, despite her being the oldest warrior with Outworm, and she was very upset, rightfully so, but he said he was protecting her, because he wasn't giving her one of Tigerclaw's kids as an apprentice. But why would he be targeting their mentors? That makes no sense. Honestly, I think he doesn't respect Sandstorm very much. I think he's just in love with her and sees her as just an object of his affection, but that's a topic for another day. Actually, no, let's talk about that. Every time he talks about Sandstorm, he says all he wants to do is sit with her forever and, like, breathe in her scent. Never once has he said that she's an amazing warrior. He said it, like, once, but only when he was trying to, like, save himself from a fight with her. Another point in this book that I didn't mention in the plot summary is that Tigerstar wants to have his kits brought into ShadowClan, which is just about the worst plot point in a book I've ever read. Because if Graystripe's kits couldn't stay in ThunderClan because Silverstream's mom... What? If Graystripe's kits couldn't stay in ThunderClan because their mom was a RiverClan cat and Tigerclaw's kit's mom is a ThunderClan cat, then the kits should be staying in ThunderClan. Fireheart did point that out, but none of the other leaders did, which I think is stupid. Yeah, Fireheart and Sandstorm had an argument, and they barely made up. 3-paragraph scene, oh, I forgive you too, I love you too. Huh? I did like the ending. I will say I did like the ending. I think it had a good wraparound, good resolution, if you will, except for the fact that Bluestar died. She didn't even get to complete a character arc. She said, like, you know, fire will save the clan, and you're the fire star now. You're Firestar now, and you are fire, and you will save the clan. And then the sun was, like, shining on him, like how it did when he first came into the clan, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like, if that was a scene in a movie, the tears would be flowing. Not really. So, that's kind of it for A Dangerous Path, and I have never in my life wanted to read a normal book more than I do right now. I just went to Barnes & Noble and bought, like, normal people books and not kids' cat books, and I want to read them so bad, but I'm holding off because I know if I start them, I won't finish this video, and I need to finish this video because this is a labor of love. Or a labor of hate, because these books are 300 pages. Anyway, that's all. See you in, like, a week when I finish the next one. I did it. I actually read the entire The Prophecies Begin arc of Warrior Cats. I don't know what else to say except for the fact that 9-year-old me is going ballistic right now. 9-year-old me is bouncing off the walls, screaming and crying and throwing up. So, I'm not gonna lie to you. This book was phenomenal. I ate this up. I read this in 2 days. And I was listening to the audiobook, by the way. And audiobooks are long. But I literally read this in 2 days, which is like, I've almost never read a book in 2 days. It usually takes me at least a week to read any book. The book could be 2 pages and I'd still stretch that out to a week somehow. But this was just amazing. This was way better than all the other ones. I gave all the other ones 4 stars. I'm giving this one 5 stars. I'm not even kidding. The build-up to the final battle was amazing. And yeah, so I'm going to get into the plot description. You may be noticing that the camera quality is significantly better. That's because I finally had the sense to film on my phone, which has a 4K option. So I'm going to be reading from my computer over here for the plot summary. At the end of the last book, Fireheart became Firestar, so he's the new leader of ThunderClan. He goes to the Moonstone to get his 9 lives, and he gets this really creepy dream with a really weird prophecy saying that 4 will become 2, lion and tiger will meet in battle, and blood will rule the forest, which is very dramatic, and I love that. And the scene in his dream is like horrific. This whole book is very brutal, but we'll get into that. And when he comes back, he's very suspicious of Darkstripe, who was like Tiger Claw's bestest friend in the whole wide world, and I swear to you, Darkstripe was in love with Tigerstar. Did I say Tiger Claw? Tigerstar. Because at the end of this book, Darkstripe literally tries to kill Fireheart because he's like, you don't like Tigerstar. You die now. Hello? You're obviously in love. So when Firestar comes back from getting his 9 lives, he finds out that Darkstripe literally tried to kill one of the kits. He literally fed her death berries. So Darkstripe gets exiled. And at the next gathering, Tigerstar says, we're gonna merge all 4 clans into one clan. What? And we find out that RiverClan's new leader, Leopardstar, has already agreed to this, and they've been living in the same camp. I was in shambles on the floor throwing up. And, he basically threatens WindClan and ThunderClan, and he's like, okay, if you don't join us, we'll kill all of you. And they do try to do that. His reasoning for this is that prey is scarce, but that's not gonna change. You'll still be having the whole forest. It's still gonna be the same amount of prey in the forest. It's actually the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. And he names this new clan between RiverClan and ShadowClan. It's called Tiger Clan. Meanwhile, Graystripe is stressed about his kids, which is understandable because Tigerstar has literally tried to kill him and his bestie in the past. So if my kids were under his rule, I'd be stressed too. So him and Firestar go to spy on the camp with Ravenpaw. They get Ravenpaw. I love Ravenpaw. He's actually my favorite, I think. Ravenpaw and Cinderpelt are my favorites. And they do be spying, though. And they find out that, they're keeping cats prisoner in the camp. Tigerstar sits on a hill of bones. Yeah. Pretty normal. They're keeping prisoners of all the half clans, which are cats that are born from 2 clans. So, Mistyfoot and Stonefur. They watch Stonefur get executed. I'm not even kidding. I was in shambles. I was listening to the audiobook, and I was like... However, they do not kill Graystripe's kids, and right after this, the trio goes to steal them back. So they get Graystripe's kids and Mistyfoot, and they take them back to the ThunderClan camp. Later that day, TigerClan attacks WindClan with 0 warning. No reason for doing that. And they kill Gorsepaw, who's an apprentice. So he's like very young. And his mom is rightly horrified and desperately angry. So there's like a whole meeting. Firestar and Tallstar are like, no, we're not joining your clan. We're not insane. And they prepare to fight. And then, so there's Scourge. Yeah, I'm still reading these. There's Scourge, and he is the leader of BloodClan. He's literally the most vicious and horrible cat in the whole forest. He has a clan of like 40 cats somehow, and he has allied himself with Tigerstar to take over the whole forest. And he does, in fact, murder Tigerstar. I'm not kidding. Tigerstar dies at the hands of some random skinny cat. So Scourge gives the clans to... What? Scourge gives the clans 3 days to leave, or he's gonna kill every single one of them. And then they do fight. And the clans win. Yippee, hurrah. Firestar kills Scourge. Firestar also loses a life, and White Storm who is Firestar's new deputy, but he names Graystripe as the deputy. Westruun dies, Graystripe is the new deputy. Dear Lord. And yeah, everything goes back to normal. Yay! There's 50 more books, by the way. I'm kidding, there's more than that. So now, into my actual thoughts. First of all, this cover is The Darkest Hour. This is horrendous. I get that it's Firestar and he's looking at his reflection, but the old cover was so much cooler. This is the old cover, by the way. It was like representative of them becoming Lion Clan and merging together as one and him seeing his ancestors. This is a cat in water. Weird thing, Fernpaw, the apprentice, and Dustpelt, the warrior, are in love. And Dustpelt has known her since she was born. And he was a warrior when she became an apprentice. He was almost a warrior when she was born. I'm gonna give a bombastic side eye to you and move on. One thing I really liked about this was getting to see Firestar's doubts about being leader. He was really worried about that he would not be able to serve his clan well, and I thought that it was really well represented because most of the time in books like these, you don't get to see that, but it was nice to see his doubts and then him overcoming those doubts and being the best leader ever. The scene where Firestar gets his 9 lives was probably my favorite scene in the book because it was each of the cats who had died before him and they all gave him his 9 lives. Like Bluestar gave him strength, Yellowfang gave him compassion or whatever. It was really sweet and cool, and it was nice to see those characters again. Quote from that scene is Firestar calling Spotted Leaf his first love, despite the fact that he knew her for about 3 months, was like a year old, not even, and she was like at least 3. I get cat stuff, you know? Human years, he was like a teenager and she was like 30. They were never in love. He just thought she was cute. So Fireheart's dream sequence is that where he gets the prophecy. I'm going to read you a paragraph from that scene. A massive hill of bones had appeared at the other side of the clearing, many tail lengths high. It shone with an unnatural light, so that Firestar could see each separate bone edged as if with fire. The bones of cats and the bones of prey all jumbled together. A hot wind swept over him, bearing the reek of carrion, even though the bones gleamed white and clean. The red light that gleamed from the hill of bones glowed brighter. Firestar stared at it in horror. Blood had begun to ooze out between the bones. The trickles merged into a river that flowed steadily toward him until the stench of blood clung to his fur. He tried to flee and found that his paws were fixed in place. A heartbeat later, the sticky red tide was washing around him, gurgling and reeking of death. This is a kid's book. You cannot do that. That is horrifying. I really enjoyed Firestar coming around to Bramblepaw, because he hated Bramblepaw because he looked like his dad. But then he had this scene where he was like, oh, he's getting the same treatment that I got from my family tree, so we should be friends. And now they're friends, and I really liked that. One thing that Firestar really needs to improve on is loving his wife. I know they're not married, but they might as well be. But please make her a mentor. He made Longtail a mentor a second time, and Sandstorm still hasn't had an apprentice yet. I am so mad about that. Sandstorm deserves better. Find a new man. The political intrigue in this book is off the charts. I was like rolling around on the floor in my own tears, falling down the stairs, literally just screaming because of all the politics in this cat book. Clans becoming other clans, changing their names. The cats had prisoners. Tigerstar is really scary. Amazing villain. Scourge, not so much an amazing villain. He was there for like 50 pages and then died. He was a lot less scary than Tigerstar. Tigerstar is horrifying. He's literally killing children. And I was literally so invested in this book, I barely have any notes except for one-liners because the build-up to this final battle was insane. I was stressed out of my mind for my favorite characters. I was like, okay, if Cinderpelt or Graystripe die, I'm gonna die. And I did not go into this video expecting that to happen. Weird stuff. So Scourge and his blood clan have collars because they're from Two Leg Place. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. They're from the human place. And they have cat teeth and dog teeth on their collars. But my question is, how did they do that? Are these like fearsome warriors having arts and crafts Wednesdays where they use hot glue to put teeth on their collars? Because that's the only way you're going to get a tooth on a collar. Unless you know how to sew, but you don't have opposable thumbs. So my only explanation is hot glue craft clubs. Tiger Star's death was absolutely horrific. Let me read this. Scourge kills Tiger Star, by the way. One blow to his shoulder unbalanced Tiger Star. He fell on his side, exposing his belly, and Scourge's vicious claws sank into his throat. Blood welled out as the smaller cat ripped him down to the tail with a single slash, which is already bad enough. Before I continue, I just, am in awe of how brutal this book is. I have read so many, YA and new adult books, and none of them have been this violent. Firestar literally rips out Scourge's throat at the end. Continuing, a desperate scream of fury erupted from Tiger Star, then broke off with a ghastly choking sound. His body convulsed, limbs jerking and tail flailing. For a heartbeat, a stillness settled over him, and Firestar knew he was falling into the trance of a leader who loses a life, to wake after a little while restored to strength, and with the rest of his lives intact. But not even StarClan could heal this terrible wound. Scourge stood back and watched coldly as Tiger Star's body convulsed again. The dark red blood kept on flowing, spreading across the ground in a ceaseless tide. Tiger Star let out another shriek. Firestar wanted to cover his ears so he didn't have to listen anymore, but he was frozen to the spot. First of all, cats can't cover their ears. Again, the massive tabby's body grew still for a heartbeat, but again the wound was too terrible to yield to the healing trance. Another spasm seized Tiger Star's body. His claws tore up clumps of grass in his agony while his screeches turned from fury to terror. He's dying 9 times. What the hell? That is horrifying! That is the most dramatically horrifying thing I've ever read. What? This cat bled out 9 times? In front of the whole forest? And in front of children reading this? In front of my salad? I loved that scene, though. Second to last note, the cats of Blood Clan have enforced claws with dog teeth. They enforced their claws with dog teeth, but I don't know what that means. Once again, I bring you to Hot Glue Craft Wednesdays. Another favorite scene was the apprentices. Every apprentice in all the clans, I think, all teamed up against the same cat multiple times and just, smothered them, which is amazing. I love the apprentices. The apprentices are always the best. As soon as an apprentice becomes warrior, they lose character value because apprentices are so fearless. I love them. And that's that. I read all the warrior... No, I did not. I read the first 6 Warriors books, and what are my final thoughts? Here's our conclusion piece. I absolutely had a wonderful time with this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I needed to take longer breaks in between as opposed to binge reading because these books are very draining. Just because of all the names and, what is going on, and why are they cats, and why do they talk. But the whole series is a suspension of disbelief, and it's barely a fantasy. But I will say, as someone who had no nostalgia with this series, aside from reading one book and not remembering anything, as an unbiased party, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend the first 6 books to anyone, I think. Not anyone. I would recommend the first 6 books to someone. Honestly, they weren't masterpieces, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for fun. I was looking to just be silly and see what all the hype was about, because this series still has a fandom. There are books still being released, and I think that's beautiful. I think if something can be held up for 20 years, that's very impressive. You're obviously doing something right when that happens. Take a look at soap operas. This is the soap opera of books. Soap operas are wildly successful, people love them, and they know that they're not masterpieces, but that's okay, because not everything needs to have a super deep meaning to be enjoyable. I hope some of that made sense, but overall, I had a good time. I think that the finale was definitely my favorite book, but every book had things about it that made it good and bad. I may or may not continue this series. I just don't have any ideas right now, but, I got this video out. I had fun. This video will probably get 20 views, but I don't even care, because I had fun. So, to my fans, my loyal fan base, I hope you had a great time with me, and I will see you in about 6 months.